Hi. In this video, we're going to take a look at automate the changes using the Paramiko package. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the low-level interaction with network equipments via the Paramiko Python library. And by low-level, I don't mean it's easy or simple. What I mean is low-level is abstracted from the human interaction. As you saw from the Ansible section, that Ansible is fairly high-level. It's using a language that is closer to English or more verbose language, as opposed to we're using Paramiko to actually basically faking a human interaction using SSH, right? So traditionally, as a network engineer, as you saw from the top, that you're traditionally, as a human being, you open up your CLI, you go to the router, and you type in your iOS commands. And using Paramiko, it's basically a Python script that constructs a SSH client object. And you're, as the mother process, you're looking at this spawn off child process that's using SSH to interact with the devices. You get some kind of device prompt back, and then you send over other commands. So let's take a look at the demonstration of using the Paramiko package. So on the screen, I hope you could see that, I am using my same Ubuntu host, and I could actually ping the device, the two devices I'm trying to manage, the iOS devices. And let's look at what the packages for installation for Paramiko is going to be included in the notes. But essentially, these are the packages that if you're starting out from scratch, that these are the package that's needed for you to install Paramiko. And because this is a SSH, so cryptography is actually a needed module. And for me, I'm going to use Paramiko 2.2 because I think there's some, and this is just purely my personal opinion, there's some iffiness in 2.3 and 2.4. And so for the demonstration purposes, I'm banking on a version that I'm more familiar with. So it's a Paramiko 2.2. And hopefully by now you've installed Paramiko. So as mentioned before, let's use the interactive shell to demonstrate the low-level interaction between the Paramiko process and the devices, right? So basically, here I'm going to import Paramiko time module, and I'm going to spawn off a SSH client object just from the Paramiko module. And here I'm going to set the missing key. You know how the first time your SSH to a device, if it says this fingerprint, this key is not known, then we want to trust that. So in this case, I'm just setting it to say, yeah, just add it, because otherwise I have to SSH to a device first and, get that known host. So this is really the connection that we're specifying. As you could see, there's the username of Cisco, password Cisco, and there's the connection device that goes out to the device. And then we're going to spawn off a new connection to the device. And we're going to do the output that receives back. So by now, the connection will go out and invoke and already connect to the device. And we're going to capture that output, and then we're going to print that output. And you could see this is the same thing that you would see as a human being log into the device, right? Like you're saying, you see this banner prompt that Cisco will show you. And that's, basically the first few, the buffers that we saw. So let's send out a device to do the show version. And let's repeat and say, capture that output coming back. And then let's print that output. So as you could see, this output actually, it's faking that connection between the Python script, or in this case, the SSH client object, and interacting with the device into a, going forward, coming back, going forward, coming back interaction. So let's close this new connection and let's see how we could morph this into a script that we repeatably use. In the last section, you could see that we used a interactive prompt to spawn off a SSH session that going out to the device, coming back, doing a show version command, and just getting that version prompt back. So how do we morph this into a script that we could use repeatably? So essentially, you could see that I'm still using the Paramiko package, and the devices managing are the 75 and 76. The commands are the show version and show run outputs. And we're going to clear the buffers so that, the last buffers, term zeros, and the essentially showing the length, because we're faking this SSH connection. So there's nobody pressing that space bar. You know how when you do a show run, it goes to end of the page. You have to press any key in order to show the rest of the page. So in this case, we're clearing the buffer that we receive and, basically do the term zero to show the whole page. And in this case, I'm looping through the devices, and you could see that I'm using the output, using the device name, and then append the output text and looping through the command file to show the output that way. So let's run this. So Python 3 show commands, and it's gonna prompt me just because I used the input for Cisco and then the get pass for the password. And it's gonna go out, and I'm choosing to terminal showing the output right here. I know it looks a bit gibberish, but because it's faking that connection, once again, I'm stressing that point about this is using the SSH client and communicating. So as a human being, when you launch your terminal, you're not seeing these return characters, and you're not seeing they're perfectly formatted and so on. But as a computer, this is what the computer sees. It sees a bunch of spaces and the star and the return, the new lines, all these characters that's there. But that's what Paramiko does for you. It does the low level interaction, goes out to the device and come back. So you can see the result, iOS v1 output, and that is the show version of the two. And this is one way to use Paramiko to do the low level interaction, scrolling up to the very top, and then you see that terminal length 0, show version, and then the show run underneath. And it's looping through the two devices so that it's showing the iOS v2 as well. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what Paramiko does. So in this video, we saw how we could use Paramiko to help your code, write a Python code to pretend that you're interacting with the device as a human. And so to the device, it doesn't know any better, whether it's, coming in as a human being or coming in as a Paramiko script, it doesn't really know. But that also puts in some problem when you have to accommodate that differences, right? Because the device is giving you these spaces and new lines and character returns. And once you get the output back, what you do with the output is that you have to accommodate these differences. You want to strip out the terminal length 0 and all the other things that are not useful to you and grab out to, and then only using regular expression or whatnot to actually match out the context that you're interested with. And so it's reliable to a certain degree because all the devices, all the networking equipments are accommodating humans. So they're only as reliable as the vendor make it to be for human beings. I think that's the best way I could put it. So next, let's look at a direct API call with devices, as opposed to basically using Paramiko for string scraping.